In this video for PokerNews.com, we are featuring Brad Owen, poker video blogger extraordinaire. He often finds himself in very, very tough spots for one reason or another, and this hand is no different. Let's get right to it.
The dude Andrew, who check-raised us earlier with 9-8 offsuit, raises to 30. We'll be making it more than that. I 3-bet to 100. It turns out, that's not quite enough. Andrew puts in a 4-bet to 360. He started the hand with 2400. We've got him slightly covered. If we were out of position, I'd strongly consider 5-betting. In this situation, we're against an opponent who seems to have the desire to try and make a play against me. I'm happy to let him stick around with hands that he's potentially 4-bet bluffing us with while we're in position. I call for 260 more. We're in the midst of a large pot. It'd be great to flop at least a pair.
I completely agree with all of this if you think your opponent is primed to blast off. If you don't make them put in all their money before the flop, you definitely want to call the 4-bet in position and force the opponent to stay in with everything. Unfortunately, most of the logical bluffs will be hands containing an ace, which ace-king completely dominates.
The dealer puts out 5-3 deuce with 2 hearts and a diamond. Not ideal. We at least have a straight draw with 2 overs though. Andrew down bets at 240. The bad part about this flop is that we don't have a heart, and the common hands that people tend to 4-bet bluff with are hands like ace-4 suited, which is a straight, and ace-5 suited, which also has us in bad shape. Still, we're not folding yet. I call to ideally hit the king of diamonds. A 4 wouldn't be bad either.
You definitely have to call in this scenario. I think a lot of people who do not understand how good a gut shot with overcards are drastically underestimate this hand. But ace-king is actually really good here because it has very clean outs against the overpairs, right? Say your opponent has pocket 9s, you have 10 clean outs. And if your opponent happens to have a weaker ace like ace-queen, you're completely crushing them. And very rarely are you in really bad shape unless you are against exactly the hands like Brad listed, ace-5 suited and ace-4 suited. So this is a great spot to call. You absolutely cannot fold.
Instead, the turn is the 8 of diamonds. It's not a terrible card because we pick up a fake flush draw. If we face another bet, I may call. Then if a 3rd diamond comes on the board, I'll probably have an opportunity to make a huge bluff attempt by ripping it in to represent the ace-high flush since we have the blocker for it. Andrew fires for 440. There's a decent chance that he has the same hand as us. Perhaps he has 2 hearts though. It's unlikely that he'll have aces or kings like he seems to be representing given the fact that we have removal, cutting the possible combos for those hands in half. I call, knowing that we may be on the verge of attempting a massive bluff if we see another red card.
So Brad does mention that it's unlikely he's against aces or kings because he blocks them, and that's definitely true. The issue though is that a lot of people who are overly loose and aggressive and splashy and battly will take hands like queens and just 4-bet and preflop, bet flop, bet turn, jam, river, thinking this just the super nuts. They'll drastically overvalue them essentially. And if that's the case, then in spots like this, your opponent may have proportionally more overpairs than you may naturally think they will, because they would perhaps not 4-bet them preflop. But this is a spot where, again, I don't really think you can fold the ace-king. Gut shot, 2 overcards, and a hand that beats all the draws is really, really good.
The dealer puts out a red card, but it's a 3 of hearts. It's a terrible river since we don't have a heart in our hand at all. We've got one of the absolute worst hands that we'll ever make it to the river with, and the opponent bets 1,000. It immediately seems suspicious to me. I found that when people are bluffing, they tend to make it nice round numbers like 100 or 1,000.
Ooh. Do you agree with that? Do you think when people bluff, they often use nice round numbers? Or, better yet, do you have any tells that you think are very consistent that people demonstrate for the most part when they are bluffing? Take a second, help us all out, and let us know in the comment section down below.
I'm not putting too much stock into that thought at the moment because occasionally I'm wrong, and also I'm at the very bottom of my range. Something just seems off, so I don't feel quite like giving up just yet.
I know you want to bluff me so bad. I mean, the problem is that I just don't have anything.
Even with nothing, I'm taking my time because it's a big pot. I don't see what I can possibly beat, especially with the flush draw getting there. Something still feels odd about this, but I can't call.
Alright. Nice bluff, dude. Nice bluff.
Want to show or no? One doesn't do anything for me. Yeah.
The opponent 4-bet me with ace-10 offsuit and fired all 3 streets. He has a lot of heart and gets the bluff through to steal over $1,000 right from my stack.
Tough spot. Brad realizes something's fishy, something's up. but I agree with them that this ace king is not a good calling hand at all. Brad really, really, really wants to have a heart in his hand, and without a heart, he cannot have heart and courage, and he has to let it go. A lot of people look at this play by the opponent and think, oh my god, that's insane. I actually don't mind the play. In terms of decent 4-betting hands, hands like ace jack and ace 10 are fine, especially if you think Brad's getting out of line too often. And then once the opponent sees this flop, you see what they have, right? They have 2 overcards and a gut shot. And the 10's probably super live. And the backdoor flush draw. This is a great spot for the opponent to blast off. So many people in the opponent's shoes call preflop and then just check fold. Or they 4-bet preflop, they bet the flop, and then they just give up on the turn. Or they bet the turn and they just give up on the river. But if you're in the opponent's scenario with this ace-10, you really, really, really need to bluff the river because Brad is going to have a whole lot of ace-king and ace-queen in his range, which you really want to make fold. And every once in a while, he's going to have a hand like ace-5 suited that you can blast off on the river. Or pocket 6s. And if you can get those hands to fold with a chunky bet, that is a humongous win. Now, I will say that if you have the image such that Brad's just going to try to call you down super wide, then you probably do want to chill out. But I think in this scenario, if we did decide to 4-bet preflop, having the ace of hearts in our hand makes for an amazing bluff because we block Brad's flushes, we block aces, we block 10s, and all of that combined makes this a great play for the opponent. I actually discuss many concepts just like this in my book, 100 Essential Tips to Master No Limit Hold'em. We'll put a link in the description below for where you can get it. I worked really hard on this book. I made it for all of you. I know all of you write a lot in the comment section down below, and I've taken a lot of the comments, a lot of things that you all struggle with, and I've summarized the answer to a lot of your common problems in this book. There's a link in the description below. That's me for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want more content featuring Brad, we have that lined up for you. We have a lot of videos on this channel. Make a point to go view them. Make a point to enjoy them. Good luck in your games. Have fun. I hope you make the most of your opportunities. And when you run a bluff, make sure you have the best blocker. I'll talk to you next time.